All right, here we are. Got everything set up. Got my microphone. Should be working good, hopefully. It's cold over here. I don't know if I'm fighting something. My voice feels like it's a little bit almost like I'm sick, but I don't feel sick. All right, so here we go. What's going on? Welcome to the video, everybody. I go live every Wednesday at this time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, with a different video topic that I think really that I want my clients to hear about and get educated on. And um, if I want my clients to know this stuff, then those of you who aren't my clients, certainly I think we get value from these topics as well. So thank you so much for joining. If you jump on the video, whether it's live or whether it's the replay, please comment down below and let me know that you can hear me all right, because it's never a certain thing that the audio is working. Or once I had somebody jump on and say they couldn't see me, which was wild. So please, if just do me a favor and comment down below, let me know that you can hear me all right, that the audio is working. And if you have any questions throughout the video, leave them in the chat as well, because it's always better to just answer whatever questions you have directly rather than me just going through whatever I have notes on, which for today, the video is about how to make being in a calorie deficit easier. Basically, how to put fat loss on easy mode, right? Because there's many ways to lose weight. There's many ways to lose body fat. A lot of them suck. A lot of them are like not good approaches, and they make you feel bad. They make you starving. You're hungry all the time. You have cravings all the time. You get really, really tired and sluggish. You get weaker. You lose muscle. Um, and they just suck. And people are dreading trying to follow these diets, or trying to eat 1100 calories a day, or trying to starve themselves essentially just to lose some weight. And it doesn't have to be like that. All right. And it's not just like an idea or a thought that I have. Like, we've done this with hundreds of people. It doesn't, this is stuff that I'm going to share with you. It doesn't just work for me, it's worked with hundreds of other men who are really busy, who have really demanding jobs, who have a family. Like, they have all the obstacles that you might be facing. It's worked for everybody. So, when done right, losing body fat and being in a calorie deficit actually doesn't have to be so bad. It really doesn't. You might actually feel pretty good while you're doing it. A lot of new clients tell me that they feel pretty good. They feel even better than they did before because they're losing weight, they're developing healthy habits. They're actually elevating other areas of their life. Their energy levels, their sleep is getting better. I had someone who's new tell me literally on our coaching call last week that in just 2 weeks his sleep is improved like a noticeable amount compared to before. So, when done right, this stuff should make your life better, not worse. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I have 5 or 6 things here that will make being in a calorie deficit much easier. And then I'm going to go through some random ones that just pop into my head as we go, because there's certainly a lot of things you can do to make it pretty manageable and pretty fine to be in a calorie deficit, and make it a successful fat loss phase. And my hope is that if you're somebody who's trying to lose weight right now, that you put some of this stuff into practice and you actually feel good throughout the process of losing weight. Or if you're like a client of mine and you're more advanced, or you have already lost weight before, like, this should help you in future fat loss phases if you do them. All right. And at the end, I'll have an option for anyone who's interested to get some help from me for 2026 to try to get in the best shape of your life. So stick around till the end, leave some comments, say what's up, and hope you enjoy the training here today. All right. So the first thing that you can do to make it easier to be in a calorie deficit is to eat vegetables in every meal. All right. I can't talk about this enough, especially with the whole carnivore diet thing becoming so popular. Having vegetables in every meal will not only make it like let's not beat around the bush. It will make it absolutely I want to curse, but I'm trying to think who might be watching with their kids. Eating vegetables in every meal will make it so easy to be in a calorie deficit. Nobody I know who's eating, I'm not talking about like a little bit of vegetables. I'm talking about like half your plate is vegetables. I'm talking like 3 or 4 servings of vegetables. So if you get like a big frozen bag of broccoli or mixed vegetables, using like half that bag, having vegetables with every meal is like a cheat code. It makes it incredibly easy. And most people, unfortunately, not only do they not have vegetables in every meal, but they don't have vegetables every day. Some people go a week or more without having a vegetable. All right. And I know this because I've seen the food logs of hundreds of different men. It's not a crazy thing. Even for people who are really into their fitness, it just kind of slips their mind. They don't realize they go 2 weeks and they don't have a singular vegetable. It's a game-changing thing because vegetables are essentially the lowest calorie foods. You can eat a wheelbarrow full of vegetables and you'll accumulate a few calories, a few hundred calories, right? So the reason this makes it so easy in a calorie deficit is because they fill up your stomach. You can eat a lot of volume of lettuce, of broccoli, of asparagus, of spinach, of Brussels sprouts, of green beans, of cucumber, what other of carrots, right? What other vegetables are out there? It fills up your stomach and there's a lot of volume to help keep you full, but you're eating very few calories. So you still have the majority left of your calories for the day to use on other foods. Also, vegetables typically include some fiber and some other nutrients like vitamins and stuff. So fiber also helps to keep you full. Um, so it's like there's multiple reasons why this is an absolute game-changing thing. This is one of the number one things I would do is if you're feeling hungry in a calorie deficit, start eating vegetables, tons of vegetables in every meal. And don't act like that's like a hard thing to do because some of you guys are eating like one real meal a day, like one whole food-based meal a day or two whole food-based meals, or maybe you're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. By the way, like having a granola bar or cereal isn't a meal. Like that's not breakfast. That's a snack. I'm talking about a whole food based meal. A meal is like whole foods, like meats, fish, vegetables, rice, potatoes. All right. So if you're eating 2 meals a day, like it's not a big ask. And there's some ways that you can get where you don't even have to cook vegetables. Like you could go to your local Chinese takeout place and ask for a large container of steamed vegetables. And there you go. You've got a week's worth of steamed vegetables with no butter, no oil or anything on it, no seasoning. You can put your own seasoning on it and just add it to the meals that you're eating or get 2 of those. That's like $10 and you've got a week's worth of unlimited vegetables. Even the meal prep service I use, Nutri Meals, I can buy vegetables in bulk and that use that as one of my meals, and that can last me for the whole week. I've done that before. All right, so that's number one. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. Number one, have veggies in every meal. Let me know. Raise your hand if that you understand why eating vegetables in every meal could make being in a calorie deficit ridiculously easy. Let me know if that makes sense. Number two is to eat 30 grams of protein in each meal or more. At least 30 grams of protein in each meal. Protein keeps you full longer than carbs and fats do. All right. So, including at least 30 grams per meal is going to give you a really big advantage compared to if you were eating lower amounts of protein in your meals. All right. Pro- Protein also has what's called the highest thermic effect of food, which means when we eat food, our body actually um, expends calories to eat and chew and digest that food. And we expend the most amount of calories when we are consuming protein. I think it's up to like even 20% of the calories in the actual food. Like that's kind of a somewhat of a big deal, right? I think for carbs and fats, it's less than that. It's like under 10. It's like 8% or something. But another reason to make sure you prioritize protein, like when we talk about making fat loss easy and making being in a calorie deficit easy, really what we're trying to do is how can we stay full, stay satiated so we're not hungry and we don't have cravings while still remaining in a calorie deficit. So how do we best use our calories? How do we best use our resources, our nutritional resources? So if you're good at like allocating your finances, if you make smart decisions with finances and how you spend your money, this is you can see this as a similar thing. Can we be smart about how we're spending our daily calorie resources? Or are you like drinking 600 calories a day? that would be like that would be like buying 5 large coffees from Starbucks a day, spending like 150 bucks at Starbucks a day on coffee. That's the equivalent of like having 3 or 4 drinks a day where you're drinking like 600 calories or something. Like that's kind of the equivalent. It's like why would we use a third or a fourth of our calories for the day on a liquid that takes away now there's so much less food we can eat. That's one less meal that we can eat if we're drinking 600 calories worth of alcohol or worth of juice or worth of Gatorade or whatever it is, right? Energy drink. There are some energy drinks that are 0 calories, and there are energy drinks right next to it on the shelf that are 300 calories. And there's people drinking 3 of those a day. So, how can we best use our calories so that we stay full and we feel good? So, number one is throw a few hundred calories a day towards vegetables, have tons of vegetables. Number two is have 30 grams of protein or more in each meal, really 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal, depending on how many meals you eat. So I'm going to type that in the chat. Number two, include 30 plus grams of protein in each meal. Because the truth is, if you're not like, if you're having a meal that's like 15 grams of protein or even 20, as an adult male, like it's just not enough to stay, like, you're not going to be full. You're going to be hungry again in an hour. So this means you just need to pay attention to portion sizes, right? I know some people who will have like yogurt with fruit as a meal, as a breakfast. Now, that can be a good meal if you're having the right amount. Like one serving of yogurt is what, like 15 grams of protein or 20 grams of protein. And then you throw some fruit on that. Like that's an excellent snack. That's like A plus rating snack. It's just not enough to be a meal to keep you full. It's as an adult male, if you're working out and you're an adult male and you're getting in more than like 3,000 steps a day, like you're any bit active at all, that's just not a meal for an adult man. That's a snack. What you could do is you could have 2 servings of the yogurt or 3 servings of the yogurt. So you're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna measure out, okay, what do they consider 1 serving to be? Oh, uh, it's 40 grams in weight. Okay, I'm gonna weigh it out on the food scale. There's 40 grams. I'll put 80 grams. So now I'm having 2 servings, right? Like measure out 2 servings or 3 servings, and now all of a sudden you're having that same meal, yogurt with fruit, but instead of getting 15 grams of protein and being hungry again in an hour, you're getting in 30 grams of protein or 45 grams of protein, and it's way more satiating. Maybe it'll last you 3 hours instead of one before you start to feel some hunger. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if you're following along with this. I'm going to put here as number 3, best allocate your food resources, which is calories, to high volume foods. So again, it's not easy to stay in a calorie deficit if we're eating very calorie dense foods. Things like nuts, peanut butter, almond butter. There's nothing unhealthy about them. You could argue that there's good health benefits to some of these things, especially with like nuts, like almonds, like you're getting some fiber from that. That's good. But they are the lowest volume, highest calorie foods. You're going to struggle. Like this is me being honest with you. And I hate discouraging people from eating things like nuts or peanut butter or almond butter. I'm not discouraging you. I always have peanut butter in my house. I'm never gonna like not keep it around because I like it a lot. You just have to be very clear on how much you're having because we're talking about very high, like the highest calorie foods. Like a cupcake, which is seen as like a terrible thing. Oh my God, it's so bad. A slice of cake, like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. It's so unhealthy. It's like the same calories as like 2 servings of peanut butter, which if you're making like a normal peanut butter and jelly sandwich or you're making toast with peanut butter, you're using 2 servings or more of peanut butter. So calorie wise, it's like you're having a piece of toast with a piece of cake on top. Again, I'm not saying the nutrients are equal. We're talking about calories. We're talking about fat loss. We're talking about being in a calorie deficit. You need to know how many calories are in the foods that you're eating. So you can't be like kind of blindly eating peanut butter daily and expecting that you're going to lose even 1 pound. It's just too calorie dense. It's too many calories to overcome if we're not measuring it out. You might like if you're having some peanut butter every day and not measuring it out, you're probably eating between 1 and 3,000 calories per week of peanut butter without realizing it. Do you realize what I just said? If you're eating peanut butter 6 or 7 days a week without measuring it out, you are eating between 1,000 and 3,000 calories of peanut butter per week without realizing it, which equates to an eighth day in the week. Maybe you're aiming for 2,000 calories a day. You're basically eating 8 days worth of food in a 7-day week because of choosing very high calorie snacks and not measuring them out. There are certain foods that it's not important to measure out because they're so low calorie. You don't need to measure out lettuce because it's 1 calorie, it's 2 calories. You're never going to overeat lettuce. You couldn't eat 1,000 calories worth of lettuce if I paid you $1,000. If I said, here's $1,000, try to eat 1,000 calories of lettuce. You'd throw up before you got there because it's so much food. It's so much lettuce. You see what I mean? Cucumbers. You're never going to need to weigh out cucumbers because it's 5 calories for an entire cucumber. So what are you going to do? Eat 100 cucumbers? No, you're never going to eat enough cucumbers to accumulate any reasonable amount of calories. But if you have 1 hefty spoon of peanut butter, it's 400 calories. right? It's a cupcake. It's two slices, or it's a slice and a half of pizza. So I hope this makes sense. You need to just be hyper aware of which foods are very calorie dense that you need to be very careful with measuring out. And then there's going to be foods that you don't have to be super careful with because they're so low in calories, like the vegetables and even fruits like strawberries. You can measure out strawberries if you want to. You're just never going to overeat strawberries. They're so low in calories. All right. Next strategy to make eating in a calorie deficit straight up easy is to practice my patented strategy of nutrition automation. Just kidding, it's not patented, but I should probably copyright it or something. I've been preaching about nutrition automation for like a decade. And it basically what it is repetition in your nutrition. So pick one meal in the day. Usually it's breakfast or lunch. If you really want to see the best possible results, do both. Do breakfast and lunch and make it the same meal every day. Not forever. I'm not saying for the next 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, you have to eat the same meal. Switch it up when you get tired of it. So I might stick with an automated meal for 3 months and then switch it up because I'm getting bored of it. I might stick with an automated meal for a week and be like, you know what? I'm over that after a week. Switch it to something else. The idea is it's decided upon before the week even starts. And it's a meal that you know is beneficial to your goals. You know the exact calories of it. You're not estimating the calories of if you have no idea what the calories are of an automated meal, you're messing up. You need to be crystal clear on what the calories are. You know that it's beneficial to your goals and helps you stay full and you enjoy it. That's another important thing. You have to look forward to this meal. It can't be something that you're dreading to eat. That's not a good automated meal. All right. So the idea behind this repetition in your nutrition is that it just leads to way better results because if you're looking for a new fancy meal or new ideas and recipes every single day, literally, you're making it so much harder than it needs to be. And straight up, you're going to struggle. If you're looking for a new fancy recipe or cool meal every day, you have to accept the fact that you're going to struggle more than me or more than someone else who's doing nutrition automation. That's just what you have to accept because it's way more work. You're choosing the path of way more work. All right. So the more streamlined your nutrition can be, can we all agree that nutrition is the hardest part of fitness and losing weight and fat loss? That's no secret. Nutrition is the hardest part. Anyone can show up to the gym 3 days a week and be active. And many of us look forward to that, right? That's not the hard part. The hard part's nutrition. We're never going to perfect the nutrition. So the more streamlined and automated the nutrition is, and the less decisions you have to make with nutrition every single day, the more likely you are to be consistent and the more likely you are to see great results. It's basically the closest thing to guaranteeing results is nutrition automation because we're planning ahead a meal that we know is good for our goals and we know is going to keep us full and we know the calories of, and we're saying we're just going to automate that every single day we're having that. It doesn't leave room for error. It doesn't leave room for impulse decisions. Oh, my coworkers are going out for lunch. They're inviting me to go get pizza. No, fuck that. I brought my lunch. It's this meal I eat every single day. Right? It makes it easier to say no to coworkers. No, I'm not going to the bar. I'm not going to order pizza. I'm not ordering whatever the hell you're ordering fast food every single damn day. No, I already have this. I plan this. All right. So again, automate the lunch. Usually that's the best one to automate. You can easily automate the breakfast as well. Usually the dinner is the one that's rotating, especially if you have a family or a significant other. Dinner is not a good one to automate because you don't want to have to sign your significant other or your family up for having the same dinner every day, even if you're willing to do it. So the dinner, have that be rotating day by day. And that helps with quality of life and family life and all that stuff, right? So let me put that in here. Number 4, automate your lunch and possibly breakfast too. All right. Because the really what we want is for you to have one decision to make in the day with food. What do we eat for dinner? If you haven't, like what I have is I have a go-to pre-workout snack, post-workout snack. It's the same. I have overnight oats as my pre-workout snack right now. And again, that has changed over the years. Sometimes it's fruit, sometimes it's something else. But for the last few months, it's overnight oats. It gives me the carbs I need to go out and have a really good workout. After my workout, I have a protein shake, a double scoop of protein shake. So I'm getting 56 grams of protein. And I have a lower calorie, high fiber bagel. So I get in 30 grams of fiber in that bagel, which is a day's worth of fiber. So that helps keep me full. That helps me hit my nutrition goals with my fiber target. And it helps me get down my protein shake too, right? Having something to have alongside my protein shake. And I'm getting in 56 grams of protein from the shake and then 15 grams of protein from the bagel. So a 70 grams of protein post-workout snack. Like it's automated. That's every day. It's easy. And then my lunch is automated. I order from a meal prep service and I use one of the meals from the meal prep service every single week. I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and it's good to go. And they tell me the exact macros. So I'm like outsourcing some of the meal prep and some of the macro tracking. Talk about making fat loss as easy as damn possible. That's easy. I haven't done anything yet. It's like middle of the day. I haven't cooked a meal. I haven't done anything. I haven't decided on anything with nutrition. I had a meal prep service cook my lunch for $12 a meal and tell me what the exact macros are, and I just plug into my Fitness Pal exactly the macros they tell me. It takes 3 seconds. Talk about making it easy. That's easy mode. That is a cheat code, right? So if like you're all about making it as easy as possible, as convenient as possible, maybe you're willing to pay an extra few bucks to do that, to have that speed, to have that automation. Do it, right? My pre and post workout snacks are non-cooked snacks that get me tons of protein. I'm eating more protein in my pre and post workout snack than some of you guys are eating in a day. I'm getting close to 100 grams of protein just from my pre and post workout snack. And they're good, solid things. I've gotten my day's worth of fiber by 10 a.m., by 9 a.m. That's because it's all streamlined. It's all decided upon. I'm not looking for things. I'm not figuring things out. It's decided upon. All right. Rant over on that one. All right. I hope that was, let me know if that makes sense. And by the way, if you don't have an extra few bucks to use a meal prep service for them to cook for you and tell you the macros and track your macros for you, all right, you got to put in an extra little bit of time and cook a damn lunch, right? Take 10 minutes and cook some ground turkey and add some frozen vegetables to it and a cup of minute rice. And it takes 10 minutes and you've got an excellent meal, excellent fat loss meal. Or cook some ground beef or cook some chicken. All these things take 10 minutes. All right, what's next on here? How to make being in a calorie deficit even easier. So the next thing is number 5 is don't drastically undereat. All right, this is a huge mistake people make, both men and women. I see it's more seen as something women do, but men, as someone who coaches mainly men for the last decade, I've seen this tons of times. Adult men trying to eat 1,200 calories a day. Adult men who like work out trying to eat 1,300 calories a day, 1,400 calories a day. That's drastically under eating. Unless like The only person, like the only type of person who this wouldn't be drastically under eating for is if you're like 5'1", 5'2", maybe 5'3", and you're like 120 pounds. Like if you're a very small person, like maybe you could make the argument you could eat 1,400 calories if you're going really aggressive. But the number one tip, if you want to make fat loss suck as much as possible, and if you want to make being in a calorie deficit as hard as possible, try to eat 1,200 calories a day as an adult man. It's going to suck. You're going to be hungry all the time. You're going to have cravings all the time. You're going to binge eat every night. You're going to snack, late night snacking every night. You're going to binge on the weekends. Does this sound familiar? Have any of you ever done this? Like, I might be describing your day to day life right now. If you're drastically under eating or not giving yourself good enough meals during the day, and you're eating like 1,000 calories during the day, and then you find yourself snacking late at night every single night or binging on the weekends or whatever it is. And you might think it's like a problem with you, like, oh, you just don't have enough discipline or motivation. It's like, no, you just got a plan that sucks ass. You got a terrible fucking plan that, or you just need help. You just need guidance with what to do and how much to eat so that you can actually feel good while you're doing this. So that you can actually, have a plan in place that you can stick to realistically. All right. So if you're drastically under eating, that's going to make everything harder. So how do we make it easier to be in a calorie deficit? How do we make it like easy mode in a calorie deficit? Is eat a reasonable amount of food. Eat like 500 calories below maintenance. All right. There's a million calorie calculators out there. If you want my formula on how to determine your maintenance calories, comment below or message me maintenance and I'll send it over and it'll show you exactly how to calculate your maintenance calories. But you want to eat 500 calories about below that, which usually for most adult men is going to be like some people it's going to be 2,200 calories. Some people it's going to be 2,100. Some people it's going to be 2,000. Some people it's going to be 1,900. Some people it's going to be 1,800. Some people it's going to be 1,700. For no one is it going to be 1,200. For no one is it going to be 1,100. You see what I mean? So it makes it way easier to be in a deficit in a fat loss phase if you're eating a reasonable and appropriate amount of food. All right. That one's done with. That one's covered. Um, Number 6 here is to prioritize whole foods and not snacks. All right. This is a very big habit that people fall into because eating snacks is more convenient. It's easier. Eating granola bars, eating protein bars, eating protein shakes, eating nuts, all these different snacks and things, eating yogurt, like even if it's a good snack, like a yogurt is a good snack, a protein shake is a good snack, a protein bar is a good snack, but it's not a whole food. They're not whole foods. Sorry, let me plug in my laptop. All right. Charger is good to go. So it's easy to fall into the habit, and I do this myself, of not eating at least two whole food based meals where you've got a meat source in there, chicken, uh, ground turkey, ground beef, steak, eggs, egg whites, any type of fish like shrimp, salmon, tilapia, anything, right? I just named 10 protein sources, whole food based protein sources: tuna, rice, potatoes, pasta, quinoa, high fiber tortillas, vegetables, any type of vegetables, any type of fruits, like whole food based meals. We need to have at least 2 of them a day because if not, we're not going to feel good. We're not going to be feeling as good as we could be in a calorie deficit. Save the snacks for like 1 or 2 per day. The yogurts, the protein shakes, the protein bars, the nuts. Save the snacks for 1 or 2 per day. Don't rely on them all throughout the day. I mean, you can, but you're making it harder than it needs to be to feel good in a deficit. It's not as easy to be in a calorie deficit if you're going with that approach because you're just going to be hungrier. You're not going to be satiating yourself enough. You're probably struggling to hit your protein target. Like if you're consistently coming up short on protein, are you having at least 2 meals or 3 meals? Or are you just eating a bunch of snacks and one whole food based meal? Now, this is where like the work comes in and the convenience comes in. It's more convenient to eat snacks that are no cook, right? Than it is to have a whole food based meal prepared. So you can either do some meal prep and cook enough so that you have 2 or 3 whole food based meals per day, or like me, you can use a meal prep service to outsource half of the meals. So I have basically 2 whole food based meals in the day, a lunch and a dinner. The lunch is from Nutri Meals and it's outsourced. And then dinner, we make dinner here at home. So we cook 1 meal a day and the rest are like is my kind of like high quality pre and post workout snacks. So even though it's a snack, I'm still getting in 70 grams of protein from my snack. But I don't consider like a protein shake with a bagel, like my post workout snack. That's not a whole food based meal, even though it's getting in tons of protein, tons of fiber. That's not a whole food based meal. That's a processed food meal, right? A bagel's processed. Do you see what I mean by that? Prioritize whole foods. And everyone on earth will tell you this. There's so many conflicting ideas in nutrition. There might be somebody out there who thinks wildly different things than I do when it comes to nutrition. They might think carbs are the devil. They might think half the things that I think are totally opposite of what it should be. One thing that literally everybody across the board, whether you're like me, you're about flexible dieting, you're about tracking your food, you're about doing it the sustainable way, you're about improving your body composition, or whether it's the carnivore crazy people who are totally extreme, or whether it's the keto people who are, against carbs and only eat fat, only eat butter, only eat olive oil, or whether it's the intermittent fasting people, like no matter what you think or believe, everybody will agree eat mostly whole foods. Everybody agree. That's the only thing in the entire industry of nutrition that everybody seems to say and agree with. Eat mostly whole foods. All right. And that does help make it easier to be in a deficit. It makes it way, way easier to be in a deficit. So that's a big one. All right. I got a couple more for you. How much? Oh, we're 38 minutes in. Okay. So this is where I'm kind of just going off the top of my head here, going off randomly, going off the top of my head. So sleep. Sleep is a overlooked one. All right. Get enough quality sleep. What I've noticed is clients over the years who seem to be doing most things right and should be losing weight and for whatever reason weren't. I started asking about sleep and it turns out they're getting 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep or less, right? Or they're sleeping like on their couch. They fall asleep on their couch watching TV and they go into bed at like 3 a.m. It's like that's shit quality sleep. You see what I mean? Like you're not in your bed for 7 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours even. You're in your bed for like 3 hours and you're watching TV, sleeping, and that's part of your night. Like sleep and like sleep impacts every other area. That's why this makes it harder or easier to be in a calorie deficit. If you're low on sleep, it's going to be way harder to be in a calorie deficit. It is. And this is one that's very overlooked because it's not associated directly with nutrition or with hunger cravings. But if you are low on sleep, you'll be more emotional eating. You'll have more cravings, random sweet cravings. Oh, I'm passing McDonald's. I have to turn in. Right? Like random kind of impulsive cravings. And it negatively impacts every other area of your life too. Energy, productivity will be shit. Like maybe you're getting through the day and not realizing the significance of it, but it's greatly impacting your cognitive ability and it's greatly impacting your energy and productivity and how you feel. And maybe that's become more the norm for you if this is you, the person getting 3 or 4 or 5 hours of sleep and you've gotten used to it, but it makes a huge difference. And I totally get, by the way, that there's people out there who like aren't in full control of the sleep because a lot of the clients I have are newer parents. They have kids who are, just born this year, right? Like a few months old kids, kids 1 and under, kids 2 and under, right? I've got plenty of clients in these situations where the sleep is hurt by, the baby and there's not much that they can do about it at this point in time. And that's totally understandable. What I'm saying is I'm talking to the people who could be getting better sleep, could be getting more sleep, but instead you're watching TV until 1 a.m. Or instead you're scrolling on your phone in bed until 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. or midnight. Go to bed earlier. Like if you are like I'm talking to the person like if you're struggling to lose weight, if you really want to lose weight and you're struggling and this is you, this relates to you, go to bed earlier. Don't leave your phone right by the bed or under your pillow. Put it across the room. You're not getting into bed and scrolling while you're in bed. It's going to make everything the next day harder. It's almost like if you were drinking, to be honest, it is what I've noticed as someone who no longer drinks much at all and someone who really cares about sleep. Not getting a good night's sleep and having a lot of drinks the previous day have a similar effect on the following day as far as your grogginess, your cognitive ability, your energy. It's very interesting. All right. So, to recap here, we've got how to make being in a calorie deficit as easy as humanly possible. Number one, have vegetables in every meal. Number two, have at least 30 grams of protein in each meal. Number three, um, allocate your calories, your nutrition resources to higher volume foods that are lower in calories. Automate your lunch or dinner, or automate your lunch and or breakfast. Don't drastically undereat. If you're starving yourself, you're screwed. Number six, prioritize whole foods, not snacks. Number seven, get enough quality sleep. Usually that's going to be 6+ hours. Number eight, at least 30 grams of fiber daily. That's a big one. I know we talked about fiber, but I didn't make it an official strategy. Number eight is get at least 30 grams of fiber. If you're an adult male, if you're a female, like 25 grams or more. I mean, I get in 50 grams of fiber many days easily, sometimes 60 or more. Get in at least 30 grams of fiber per day. Fiber helps keep you full. That's another reason. Fiber helps keep you full. And also, I've seen a very um, obvious correlation of people who are um, Oh, sorry, I was trying to fix my screen up here. People who are getting in more fiber generally are using their carb sources on higher quality sources, right? So, like for example, me, I'm eating a bagel as my post workout snack with my protein shake, but it's a really high fiber bagel. Like that's certainly better nutritionally than someone who's just eating a normal bagel. My bagel's half the calories as a normal bagel, and it's got a day's worth of fiber, and it's got an extra 35% of protein. A normal bagel has 8 or 9 grams of protein. Mine has 15 grams. So it's almost double the amount of protein as a normal bagel. So that's a better use of a carb source, in my opinion, than someone who's just having a normal bagel. Someone who's having like these high fiber tortillas, they also have 30 grams of fiber. High fiber tortillas, making a breakfast burrito, making regular burritos at home with ground turkey or ground beef. That's a better use of a carb source than someone who's just eating normal bread or normal wraps, in my opinion, because you're getting in 30 grams of fiber with it. Someone who's eating a lot of fruits and vegetables is better using their carb sources than someone who's eating highly processed carb sources like the breads, maybe even pasta, things like that, right? On more sugary carb sources. So people who are getting in more fiber typically seem to be spending their carb sources on better quality sources. All right, let's see. Anything else I got for you? How to make being in a calorie deficit easier. Okay, I got one for you. This is exercise related. Don't do a ton of high intensity cardio. This is almost like the opposite of what you might think, but man, this is so clear to me. Number 9, don't do a ton of high intensity cardio. So this is like running, this is like hit training, this is like Barry's boot camp type classes. You're doing Barry's boot camp every day. Um, it's so interesting to me that man, I've had dozens and I've had 2 or 3 dozen people come to me, clients who are endurance athletes who participate in marathons, Tough Mudders, High Roxes, Deca Fits. And when they initially come to me, they're doing so much cardio to prepare for these events. Sometimes it's related to weight loss, sometimes it's not. The way to do it is you do those things because it's so fun to you. I've got clients who do it because they're so fun and they love competing in those things and they like improving their performance. That's the reason to do it. If you're doing it just to try to be active and lose weight, you're screwed because you're doing so much cardio and higher intensity cardio that you're making yourself way hungrier than you need to be. People who do a ton of running, a ton of higher intensity cardio are usually very, very hungry. And you've got to eat more food for that reason. So you can still be in a deficit and lose weight doing a ton of cardio, high intensity cardio, but people are scared to do that. They don't know how to calculate it properly. They don't realize that they have to eat a little bit more than they might otherwise would have if they weren't doing so much cardio. And they can still be in a deficit that way. But it is easier. It's just easier if you're doing lower intensity cardio, like walking, even if you're walking on a treadmill, walking outside, focusing on your steps, even if you're getting in 10,000 steps, even if you're getting in 20,000 steps, right? If you're getting in 20,000 steps, you are insanely active on a daily basis. You are so much more active than the average person. You're like 5 times more active than the average person, but it's all lower intensity. It's walking like this. I've gotten in 5,000 steps since we started. It's been 40 minutes, 50 minutes. I've gotten in 5,000 steps, but I haven't broken a sweat. This is lower intensity, but I'm moving. This isn't going to make me as hungry as if I was running for the 50 minutes. And we create fat loss by being in a calorie deficit, not by burning off. We do it through nutrition, is what I'm trying to say. We don't do it through exercise. So if you're trying to like burn more calories by running and being in a and burning as many calories as you can, it's never going to work. You create a calorie deficit through nutrition. And the higher intensity cardio you do, the hungrier you get and the harder it is to actually stay in a deficit because you're so damn hungry. So again, if you want to do higher intensity cardio, do it because you enjoy it or because you're training for an event, you're trying to improve your speed or your stamina. Don't do it for weight loss purposes. All right. Let's see. That's all I got for you right here. So I said at the end I'd have an opportunity for some of you. If you're not a client of mine, if you are a client of mine, send me a message about um, 2026, and I'll make sure that you're taken care of. But if you're not a client of mine and you feel ready, and this resonates with you, and you feel ready to get in the best shape of your life in 2026, or just get in much better shape than you're in now, whether it's to do a fat loss phase properly with guidance, having me walk you through it step by step. I've done this hundreds of times. Message me 2026 either over email or Instagram or whatever it is, because I'm holding a couple special case study programs for 2026. And I'm looking for a few people who really are ready to do that, want to see an incredible transformation, want to make incredible progress in 2026, just like we had many people do in 2025. And yeah, it'll be a unique opportunity. So, hope you found this video helpful, and I will talk to you guys later. See you on the next video.